Third down and 20.
The Carolina Panthers went out and traded for Sam Darnold of the New York Jets. They gave up a 6th round this year and then a 2nd and 4th next year. Kind of means that the Panthers probably aren't going to take a quarterback. What are your guys' thoughts on this trade? How does it affect Sam Darnold's value? What does it mean for the Panthers players going forward? Thoughts, opinions?
I really like this trade for Carolina. Obviously, I wanted them to take Trey Lance at 7. I thought that was a great fit for Trey Lance. Play with Christian McCaffrey, play with Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore. I thought Matt Rule as the coach, I thought it was a great fit. But I think Darnold, it's similar. You know, he has a familiar face in Robbie Anderson, who was his favorite target in New York. He's got DJ Moore, who's probably the best receiver he's ever played with. And he's got Christian McCaffrey behind him with a coach that I really respect and I think he can do a lot with because, you know, he's used to these young quarterbacks coming from, you know, a college system here. I think it's a really nice fit for Sam. I think if he doesn't succeed here, I mean, I think we all think that's the end just because of how much trouble he's had in New York. But overall, I think this is a great situation for Sam, and I would go out and buy him depending on what the price was.
Well, okay. Hold on. We'll stop right there. What is the price for Sam Darnold right now?
I think right now the hype kind of makes it a little bit too high. I was going to say in part of my congrats on anyone who bought low up to this point. I guess it depends on what the price is now. I don't really know what it is because now he has some hype around him.
Like what? Early, mid-second? I see, this is my thing with Sam Darnold is I don't think his price has necessarily jumped a ton. I think now what's happened is that you had the people that like Sam Darnold and weren't going to sell him for a third, and you had the people that wanted to buy Sam Darnold and only wanted to buy for a third, and now because of this hype, it's like, okay, now we'll actually meet in the middle at like that early mid second rounder, like 203, 204, probably somewhere around there, which is what I feel like the Sam Darnold owners wanted, unless you were really panicking. But at that point, it's like, is it even worth to sell for? It's kind of like Jameis Winston a while ago. Were you really going to sell Jameis Winston for that really late second, early third round pick? I don't even think you were getting offered a late second when he kind of went out of existence in the fantasy world. I think it's kind of now people are starting to meet in the middle because of the hype, and Sam Darnold owners weren't really looking to sell really low.
Yeah, so I think right now the asking price for Sam Darnold probably is an early second, like a top 3 or 4 picks in the second round. I just don't think many teams are going to meet that. It is interesting to think about it. Not that I'm not comparing the two in any way other than just age, but Sam Darnold is only like 9 months older than Mac Jones. I gotta look at it again. I think it's 9-10 months older than Mac Jones. Sam Darnold.
It's within a year because they're 23 and 22. Yeah,
which is crazy to think about when we're talking about how long Sam Darnold has been in the league for. You know, I think they're, while kind of somewhat similar quarterbacks, I don't think they're that similar. But it is the question of then. So now we're talking Superflex rookie drafts. Right around those kind of picks is where Mac Jones is going. So I'm pretty confident in what Frank would say about Mac Jones versus Sam Darnold. But would any of you take Sam Darnold over Mac Jones?
Are we assuming Mac Jones lands in San Francisco?
I think that's a tough
because
assumption
that's
to
going to
make.
have an impact on me.
Let's
just say without it, as a prospect, are you taking Sam Darnold or are you taking Mac Jones? No landing spot for Mac Jones.
I'm going to take Darnold.
In Carolina, I think Darnold.
I'm going to take Darnold.
Wow, okay, both. All right, let me hear one.
If you told me for sure he's going to be in San Francisco, it becomes super tough, but like just no landing spots, and I'm looking what Joe Brady has done with quarterbacks and that offense with those weapons around him, and Sam Darnold's only less than a year older than him. It's close, but I'd probably lean Darnold. But again, if Mac Jones is in San Francisco, I'd have to reconsider that.
I also got to take into consideration here that, listen, Darnold was a top 3 pick in the NFL draft for a reason. Not saying that, you know, all the rumors are out there that San Francisco is going to take Mac Jones at 3 also, but he was a Darnold in his own right was a top pick for a reason. Everyone, he was a highly touted prospect, and the Jets really didn't do him any favors. I mean, the most they ever tried to do was they signed him an aging Le'Veon Bell and drafted Denzel Mims, who didn't play. Like, they never got any help. The offensive line was always iffy at best, and I think now you actually... And also, something no one's mentioned yet, Adam Gase just kills everyone's fantasy value. I don't know how that hasn't been brought up yet. Like, Tannehill, I saw a stat yesterday that Tannehill's QBR under Gase in Miami was in the 50s. Tannehill's QBR last year in Tennessee was in the 90s. It's absurd what happens to these players, especially with Tannehill now as the only quarterback we've really seen make the jump without Gase here. But everyone's fantasy value. Kenyon Drake went up. Devontae Parker, Preston Williams was playing really well before he got injured. There's a whole thing, and I want to see what Sam can do. I mean, I think whenever you have Christian McCaffrey, everyone's going to be paying attention to him in the backfield. It really takes a lot of pressure off him. When in New York, all the pressure was on him. He was forced to make all the throws and really had no help, and I didn't like it. I felt bad for him because he kind of got thrown under the bus. Obviously, the right move for the Jets moving forward is that their new GM can handpick his own quarterback. But I think it's a good restart here, and I would do it over Mac Jones, who I'm not sold on personally. I have him ranked, I think, my QB5, so I'd take the risk on Darnold here.
Are you two taking Mac Jones? I agree with everything Jake just said.
Yeah, give me Mac Jones. What about you, JT?
I know you're taking Mac Jones.
Right,
what about you, JT?
So Frank's definitely in the Mac Jones camp. I hate to be this guy, but so when I'm thinking about from the homer perspective of like the Patriots and who I would have rather wanted, I think I would have rather given up whatever like the Panthers gave up and got Sam Darnold rather than drafting Mac Jones with the first round pick. I truly believe that Sam Darnold would have been better on the Patriots than Mac Jones. But as far as like a dynasty perspective is considered, it's a lot tougher in that aspect. I think I lean Mac Jones, but just slightly there. Because it's like, we've seen from Sam Darnold not great things. Obviously, it's because he's on the Jets and with Adam Gase. But, there's also blame for Sam Darnold there, too. It wasn't like it was just the Jets' fault that he ended up not succeeding in the NFL. And
he's seeing ghosts out there.
He was seeing ghosts.
For real, though. For real. Like, it's not just Adam Gase. Adam Gase doesn't throw the ball. Sam Darnold throws the freaking ball.
Yeah. Also, the unknown of Mac Jones kind of intrigues me. Personally, I'm not too high of him as a prospect. He's my quarterback 5, I believe. Also, Jake. So, I do think this is a stacked quarterback class, though, and being the quarterback 5 isn't necessarily a terrible thing, especially when we're talking dynasty. But we've seen Sam Darnold. What we've seen hasn't been great. The intrigue of Mac Jones is there, especially if he ends up on a top team like the Broncos or like the 49ers getting picked at 3. If he's getting picked at 3, I'm definitely taking Mac Jones. But, yeah, I think we can move on from here, though, unless anyone else feels very strong.
Let me say a quick spiel about Darnold, because I am someone who watched way too many Jets games on film with my Sam Darnold analysis that's actually on the channel. And I like Sam Darnold. I think he has talent. The Panthers were actually one of the teams that I thought Sam Darnold could get traded to if it weren't during the draft. But the thing that I think people are forgetting is that Sam Darnold is nowhere near a sure thing. I am still not out on the Panthers taking a quarterback. Sam Darnold right now is basically on a 1-year, show me what you got kind of deal. And if he plays like crap out there, there's no guarantee he's still on the Panthers.
They're apparently using his 5th-year option.
So, like, I do think it increases his perceived value, but, man, it's like, realistically, I think Mac Jones and Sam Darnold are equal-level prospects. I like them both coming out. Sam Darnold, the problem for me, he has not improved on some of his weaknesses. When he rolls to the right, his ball placement is still dog shit. He still is struggling to see defenses and read the field. His footwork has gotten better. We've seen minimal improvements, but I'm not gonna go out there and because I value Mac Jones as a late first round pick. They both offer me no rushing upside. Why am I now going to value Sam Darnold as a first round pick for everyone around him except for what I've seen on his tape?
He had that long run against the Broncos.
Honestly, Darnold's not a running QB, but he could have some. He's definitely way more athletic.
It doesn't. It negates in the long run.
Yeah,
though. Like it's not gonna.
He's not going to
matter.
give you consistent rushing floor.
No, not
like
consistent.
in what we went over in the last episode. It's like freaking Kirk Cousins will give you some runs here and there. Like he'll get you 150 rushing yards on the season and like a touchdown. But that's not really moving the needle too much.